Welcome to another edition of the CS Podcast, where you can hear interviews with special guests such as
Dale Buchanan, Tom Waddle, Pierre Desir, Brent Berry, Ed Werder,
and many others.
Too big, too strong, too fast, too good.
So be sure to subscribe and tune in to the CS Podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/ChristianRE722.
Did you not get the memo?
That's www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722 for great interviews. Be sure to check out the CS Podcast.
You are ridiculous.
Welcome back to the CS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Shanafelt, and I'm now joined by one of the top defensive linemen in the country. He's a 2015 NFL draft prospect out of the University of Washington, Danny Shelton. I appreciate you taking some time to chat, Danny. How's it going?
Doing great, man.
So let's get right to it. Coming out of high school, you were named first-team All-State as both an offensive and defensive lineman. You had many schools interested in you, and you decided to attend the University of Washington and play for the Huskies. How did you come up with the decision to attend UW? I know you're from Auburn, Washington. Did the opportunity of staying in your home state have anything to do with your college decision?
Honestly, I initially wanted to be a Duck at the University of Oregon, and I kind of changed my mind after my visit at the University of Washington. I just kind of felt more at home. The guys welcomed me, and I felt more of a family atmosphere over there. And then, in the end, I just decided over being closer to my family and, being in a family environment. So, the University of Washington was just a perfect fit for me.
And you've seen playing time right away as you played in all 13 games as a true freshman. You really haven't looked back ever since. As a sophomore, you grabbed a hold of that starting nose tackle job, and last season, your junior year, you recorded 59 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. You guys as a team finished 9-4 and beat BYU in the Fight Hunger Bowl. What were your expectations for this season, your senior year with a new coaching staff?
Honestly, I just wanted to have fun. Right after the junior season, I wanted to, work on pass rush, and also work on using my hands more. And so, during the whole off season, I dedicated the off season, and even in my study abroad trip to Tahiti, I also just focused on working more technique in the pass rush game, and then also using my hands more violently.
Your guys' new head coach, Chris Pearson, had a ton of success at Boise State and has had a solid first year at Washington with the Huskies. You guys are 8-5 and will be taking on Oklahoma State on January 2nd in the Cactus Bowl. But I want to ask you about the last game that you guys played in, and that was the Apple Cup against Washington State. How big is this rivalry in the state of Washington, and how important was it for you guys to walk away with the win over the Cougars?
It's one of the biggest games of the year, honestly. I don't know how other states do it over there, but the Apple Cup actually divides families. I've seen numerous of friends who had, brothers who went to Washington State because they couldn't get into the University of Washington, and, there's always jokes about that, and, people are just constantly just firing back with these, the funny remarks, but, some of it is hurtful, but, this season was just the perfect time. We had the perfect game going up against Washington State, and they gave up a good fight, and it was super cold, so this was like one of the best games I played in. I've never played in weather like we played in against Washington State, and it was just awesome to bring back the trophy, and then immediately after the game, see these fans who traveled about like 5 hours to come to the game and support us, and it was just an awesome experience.
Danny, you ended your Husky career 3-1 against Washington State, so that's got to feel good. This season, you've recorded 89 total tackles, which is really a lot from any defensive lineman at any position. You were able to also record 16.5 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, and 4 fumble recoveries. Pretty impressive stats, and watching you, you are definitely a force on that defensive line. Are you satisfied with how you performed this season?
I'm actually surprised. at the statistics, really. I had a couple games that I was disappointed at. You know, I wanted to be able to break 100 tackles this year, but I had a couple games where, you know, the offensive game plan just was pretty tough to face. And, you know, overall, I feel like our defense just came out this season with a blast, you know, and everybody playing on the side of me, you know, also produced as well as I did. And when, you know, Hauliki Kaha was getting blocked, double team, triple team, and that opened up more room for me, you know, the Hudson brothers as well. And so, you know, our D-line was able to produce as many sacks that we did this year.
Chris Shanafelt talking with 2015 NFL draft prospect out of Washington, Danny Shelton. And Danny, the Washington Huskies are a part of the Pac-12, which means you guys get to see the Oregon Ducks, who, like you said earlier, were the team that you actually wanted to play for coming out of high school first. But you guys get to see Marcus Mariota every year. Sounds as if he'll be lifting up the Heisman Trophy this Saturday. How good of a quarterback do you think Mariota is, and what's it like game plan against him throughout the years?
You know, Marcus Mariota is just a freak athlete. You know, it's always awesome to play against him and also watch him. You know, he's just one of those rare players who, you know, every once in a while you'll see come out of high school and, you know, do his thing. You know, run the ball, throw the ball. This guy's really honestly one of the best quarterbacks we've went against in a long time, besides Andrew Luck. And that's saying something, you know. Pac-12 stepping up with their quarterback game. So I feel like Marcus Mariota, he really deserves this Heisman Award. And, you know, coming from a Polynesian family, Polynesian community, that's really going to be big on our community, just to say that, you know, we have a Polynesian football player that, you know, received this high award. And so, you know, God's been good for him, and, you know, I really had a great time going against this guy. He's always given us a great look, and it's always been competitive going against the Ducks. And, you know, sadly we didn't get a chance to win in my 4 years, but, you know, I'm pretty confident in Coach Peterson's system that they'll get a win against the Ducks pretty soon.
Absolutely. Sounds good. And I'm sure you'll be, you know, down the line in the NFL when you meet Mariota in the NFL. I'm sure you'll rack up a few wins, a few sacks as well. Chris Shanafelt talking to University of Washington nose tackle and 2015 NFL draft prospect Danny Shelton. And just a few more questions, then I'll let you go, Danny. I really do appreciate your time. I seen recently you accepted your invitation to the Senior Bowl. How excited are you to, you know, play in the biggest college all-star game and show what you got in front of NFL scouts?
You know, this is super exciting. You know, I've never really expected to be where I am right now, and, you know, it's just a blessing. And I've always just pictured playing in the NFL and not really picturing the process of getting to the NFL. And, you know, this is just one of the many things I'm going to be going through on my journey to the NFL. And, you know, it's just awesome to know that, you know, I'm going to have Hauliki Kaha, one of my teammates, also play there with me. And, you know, I'm just super excited to get down there and just get to work.
What would you say is the, you know, your biggest strength as a defensive lineman, defensive tackle, nose tackle? What would you say is the biggest strength of Danny Shelton's?
I'd say my ability to be wherever the ball is. I've really worked on that over the couple of years that I've been here. Just, you know, constantly ingraining in my mind that I need to be next to the ball. You know, determining how far the ball is from me and how much effort I'm putting in. And so, you know, I've always just challenged myself to continue to run to the ball. You know, you never know when the ball's going to come out. And, you know, the ball came out about 4 times, and I was able to pick them up. And so, you know, it's always going to help out, and it's really helped me out this year.
Danny, I know that you still have one more college football game to play, but what would you say is the biggest or most memorable play that you've made during your time at UW?
I have to say my freshman year, I think, in the Alamo Bowl, I had a chance to get it in on special teams on kickoff return, and it was like fourth quarter. It's a pretty close game, and they squib kicked it towards me, and I was a fullback back then, and I picked up the ball. I was about to get tackled. I was laying on top of one of the defenders, and I got right back up and started running for 10 more yards, I feel like, and then I ended up fumbling the ball, and Baylor got the ball. So, it was kind of a negative, but it was also one of the most thrilling, feelings to, have the ball and, be running to trying to gain yards. And so it's always been like a lineman's dream to run the ball. So I kind of got that out of the way early in my career.
It sounds like you were trying to pull your best Devin Hester impersonation.
Yeah, something like that.
That's great. That's great. Now, if you would compare yourself to a defensive lineman currently playing in the NFL, who do you think that would be and why? Is there anybody specific out there?
I have to say, Matoko Haloti Nata, and reason why is just I've always looked up to him when he was at the Oregon Ducks, and just seeing his weight room numbers, I've always tried to compete against his numbers, and I got pretty close, but he's just that much more of a freak athlete than me. But I've always tried to play up to his level, and hopefully I'll be able to play beside him.
Well, definitely one of the best in the NFL, so you can't go wrong with that. And last but not least, Danny, recently news came out that the UAB, the University of Alabama at Birmingham, would be pulling their football team as well as their rifle and bowling teams. What are your thoughts on a D1 program such as UAB pulling their football team? And could you even imagine if the University of Washington pulled your guys' football team?
This is the first time I'm hearing that, and that sounds just crazy. I just can't imagine what the student athletes are going through. We prepare for how many years to come to college and, compete at a high level and play football, the sport that we love, the job that we love. And, that's just a crazy thing to think about. If Washington ever did that, I don't know what I'd be able to do. Besides just staying focused on my academics, just I'd have to play, another sport, probably track. But I feel like it's going to be tough, really tough on those student athletes over there.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it's taking a tough hit on those student athletes over there at UAB. Definitely a crazy situation. But, Danny, that's all I got for you, man. I really do appreciate your time. It's been a true pleasure speaking with you. You got anything else for us before I let you go?
No, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. Just go Dogs.